Hi, Rowena.
Hi, Krista. How's it going?
It's going good. But you know what? I think the thing that we wanted to talk about today for 10 minutes at least is something to do with role playing. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. 10 minutes, let's go.
Okay.
So, we want to talk about the visibility lab that we ran a couple of weeks ago. And what was this about?
It's about role playing. And it was about role playing with women who didn't know each other in the online event. And the best part of all is everyone had fun. And this was so surprising because when you think about role playing, you don't think about people having fun. Maybe a little bit like, oh, I'm a bit scared. Like, what role am I going to play? And how would that role pan out? Because I'm not given a script. I'm not given a task beforehand or an idea what role I'm playing, right? But eventually it turned out really well. So what do you think about it? So I thought it was a fun way to explore a leadership scenario and a leadership issue within a very safe, within the safe confines of an online closed door event.
Yes, I agree. So basically, for a little bit more context, I think this is the kind of work that we do, and we run these workshops, we run coaching sessions, and we thought we just love things, or events or programs where people can kind of dig into and do rather than just sit and listen. And so we came up with this idea of this visibility lab because we wanted people to drive the session, really explore what they would do. So come in and kind of be prepared for anything, I guess. It's a 1 hour session and there's a bit of a case study, and it's really uncharted in that sense because we aren't really sure what's going to happen. And well, truth is, I don't think they also know what's going to happen. So in some ways, it's kind of edge of your seat, but it's also what happens in real life when situations unfold at work, right? You just have to act in the moment and make decisions, and you'll have these emotions coming up, and everything's very dynamic. So I feel like doing it this way gives people a real sense of, you know, what could happen. And I love this method. I think it really, well, I think people really loved it too.
Did we see any interesting surprises in the role play? We did, right? I mean, because we ran it for 2 rounds. So the first round was you're just given a role, like you're the CEO or you're the COO or CFO, and then we didn't give you. Well, we gave you roughly an idea of what was happening in the room, but the women just took it on with full gusto.
Yeah, I think the thing is so we set the scene and we have a scenario that we share, but we kind of left certain elements out. It wasn't completely mapped out and fully scripted. There were gaps, there were holes, and I guess it's intentional so that you can flesh it out as you see fit, which is kind of creative. And everyone will bring a different sense of themselves to it, right? And that's what we're hoping would happen. So I was really happy to see that it took a few minutes for people to warm up into it, but once they got into it, they embraced that role. And you could see people talking about, they were immediately connecting what was happening here with the experiences they had back in the office, whether in a current role or previous role, and you could see the frustration. So they immersed themselves in that experience, and the feelings, everything felt pretty real and authentic, which is what we were hoping for. But you can never be too sure that you're going to get it. So I'm really glad that that happened.
And what I like to call it as improv, right? And when it's improv, you bring your own experiences, you bring your own thoughts and feelings into the role that you're playing on at that time. And sometimes this is also very natural because many of the women in the online room, I call it, have experienced such a scenario at some point in their lives. So they brought in a very natural way of speaking and of discussing the issue. So what I really liked was that was the first round that we did, and they were a little bit okay, maybe initially a little bit hesitant to speak out or to articulate, but once we went for the second round, I could see that many of them relaxed, and there was a bit more ease that they brought into the conversation, they brought into the leadership scenario. And I think at the end of it, even I felt like, wow, we call it the visibility lab for a reason, because a lot of it is experimental. A lot of it is just like, think on your feet and try something, experiment.
Yeah, and so for greater context, for those who are hearing about this for the first time, the way we run it is we have the scenario and we do the first round. We call it like round one of the role play. And yes, people are just sort of, well, what do we do here? Who am I? Like, run free with this. Be whoever you think the role, whoever, whatever the role calls for in terms of that character, just run with it. And so, yes, initially it's just a bit uncertain, but they get into it, and then we wrap up that session, and then there's a bit of a debrief where we unpack the situation and we kind of have a bit of a chat and we discuss various options and we look at, how that person did something. And that's great because when you're in the moment, you're just acting or reacting, right? And then when you have a bit of a debrief, you can kind of sit and, well, why did I do that? Maybe I shouldn't have. And then we have that chat, and then there's a chance for a second take, which is awesome. And as you pointed out, now with the second take, they go in and they're like, well, now I know what I'm going to say and I know how I'm going to handle this. And you see so much more confidence and clarity and certainty with how they are projecting because it's a second take, right? So I think this is good. I mean, we're designing this for women, and it is for leaders, but it's also for those who are emerging in that space. And if you are navigating any kind of high visibility role, I think this would be useful. But even if you're not navigating something that's high visibility, I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't need something like this, because all of us have to communicate with others in the workplace at varying levels. We have different types of stakeholders. So at some point, you might hold back one of you. You might be thinking, oh, this is a big situation, and you might not know what to do or how to navigate. And I think, this trial and error type scenario, this visibility lab setup, I think I feel like it's useful for you to discover parts of yourself, I think.
I also think that, in our everyday life, all of us need to communicate, to negotiate, to clarify, to bring forward our views without, sounding like we're offending another person or feel like we are disregarding the other person's opinions or views. So this is I would call it a very safe space for you to practice. And perhaps that is also something that with all of us, I mean, I don't think I've done this ever in my life. If not for running the visibility lab with you, I don't think I've ever had a chance to actually practice this, being in a scenario where people are doing something and then you're so immersed in it because you feel that you are the role, you are the CEO. You have to say something as a CEO, you have to say something as a CFO. So I feel that allows us to play in a safe space, try out or test out ideas that normally we wouldn't say that. We would probably not say it. We'll probably think about it, but we will not say it to the person, in front of us. So if you're thinking that, okay, I think I need to express my views more, I think I need to be a little bit more articulate in my views, or even, just clarify, in a room full of people who may not necessarily agree with me, who may not necessarily want to hear what is obvious and obviously needs to be stated or said, but a lot of people just are fearful because groupthink is so strong, right? So you're like feeling
Yes.
fearful. So you want that space to be able to do
Yes.
that practice.
Yes, this is a safe space. That's exactly right. And it's no risk, no loss. You come in here, it's a bunch of strangers. We all get to know each other briefly, but it's all play acting. And you get to, I guess, try out different parts of yourself that you might have been holding back. So yeah, it's pretty useful. Anyway, I'm sure we've hit 10 minutes.
Oh, we probably have. Okay. So if you're interested in joining our Visibility Lab number 2, just go to tinyurl.com/visibility lab and you'll be taken to the page to sign up to register. So this is limited spots only, and it's for women. And you just come and have fun and discover something about yourself that probably you have not thought about, in a regular scenario. Maybe something comes up for you. And I think this is the important part. If something comes up for you, it's an aha moment, it's an insight into perhaps that is what you should be exploring more, if it's a positive thing. Even if it's not a positive thing, maybe there's also, like you always say, Rowena, right? Sit with the discomfort, unpack what it
Yeah,
is that you're so
yeah,
uncomfortable about. Like, I didn't want to say this.
yeah.
Why? And I think that
Mm,
is the point of this Visibility Lab, is to give you a chance to be in a safe space, say the things that you wish you could have said in a regular, meeting or scenario, or a time when you wish you said it. But this is in a space where everyone knows it's role playing, and you get to learn something and take something away with you. So yeah. Last words, Rowena?
and it's happening this coming Friday, and it's free to join. But yes, seats are limited. We're not keeping it very big. We want to make sure that it is interactive and engaging, so we're keeping it relatively small. So sign up, and details are in the link below.
Yeah. So we'll see you in the Visibility Lab. Yeah. Hang on, let me click this. Okay.